The Old Republic fought many great wars over the course of its history, defending the galaxy from Mandalorians and Sith alike. Of all these conflicts, one sequence of wars stands out as one of the most destructive: the Galactic Wars, in which the Republic battled the true Sith Empire. These wars saw the galaxy partitioned between Republic and Sith, and they raged off and on for decades. They can be difficult to wrap your head around, and so in this video, we're going to be going through all the battles of the first of these wars, the Great Galactic War, in order. 3681 BBY, Korriban and the Tingel Arm. In 3681 BBY, a fleet of true Sith heavy cruisers made their first foray into Republic space. The Republic dispatched diplomatic envoys to meet them in the fringes of the Tingel Arm, but the Sith utterly destroyed the diplomatic ships, killing the whole ambassadorial team. This brief skirmish would be remembered as the opening salvo of the Great Galactic War. Shortly thereafter, the Sith began an all-out assault on the Aparo sector, the Republic's most remote Tingel Arm territory. The sector was overwhelmed before the Republic Navy could even mount a proper defense. The Republic belatedly dispatched a fleet to the Tingel Arm to confront the Sith and drive them from Republic territory. But this fleet flew straight into a trap. After the fall of the Aparo sector, several local governments switched sides and declared allegiance to the Sith Empire. The advancing Republic fleets found themselves in the middle of enemy territory, and they ended up on the defensive, fighting for survival. From there, the Sith began to advance down the Tingel Arm, deeper into Republic space. The Republic Navy scrambled all available forces to rescue the fleet in the Tingel Arm, but the Sith deployed the full might of their own navy in response, and with the backing of the local fleets, the Sith triumphed. The Republic was forced to abandon the Tingel Arm entirely, and what remained of the Republic fleets scattered to avoid destruction, with many ships seeking refuge at Mirial. Meanwhile, the Sith initiated the first major battle of the war, the Battle of Korriban. The Sith dispatched a fleet of more than 30 capital ships to retake the planet. This fleet destroyed the Jedi's own paltry defense fleet, while the Sith Lords, Darth Vindican and Darth Malgus, boarded and captured Korriban's orbital security station. Only a few Republic personnel managed to escape the battle aboard a smuggler's ship. The rest were slaughtered, and Korriban was retaken by the Sith. The Battle of Korriban was considered by the Sith to be the true beginning of the Great Galactic War, a significant symbolic victory. Later in 3681 BBY, the true Sith began a new offensive on the exact opposite end of the galaxy, attacking the outer end of the Rimmer trade route. They began with the Battle of Sluis Van, in which, during a wider assault on the Sluis sector, Sith forces destroyed the Republic shipyards at Sluis Van and conquered the planet. From there, they pushed up the Rimmer trade route, conquering many Republic worlds. On every Republic planet taken by the Sith, all Republic military personnel were hunted down and killed, and all civilians who refused to swear allegiance to the Sith Empire were massacred. As the Sith took control of the Siswena sector and pushed rimward to the Minos cluster, Republic forces staged a counterattack. This initial counterattack, known as the First Battle of the Siswena sector, was a failure, and it resulted in the capture of hundreds of Republic soldiers. The next year, however, the Republic tried again, and in the Second Battle of the Siswena sector, the Republic Navy successfully broke the Sith blockade of the sector, freeing up Republic supply lines and stopping the advance up the Rimmer. 3680 BBY to 3671 BBY, the Sith invasion. On the other end of the Rimmer, the long-running Minos Cluster campaign began. This campaign raged for nearly 30 years, almost the entire length of the war, and it saw Republic and Sith forces beat each other bloody over a region rich with vital resources. Initially, the Sith had the advantage, but thanks to Jedi leadership, Republic forces managed to dig in for the long haul and resist the invaders. In the Battle of Iliad in 3680 BBY, the Jedi managed to halt the Sith advance in the region. The Republic were still driving back Sith invasions in the region more than a decade later. The war in the Minos cluster raged on until 3653 BBY, when Sith forces finally withdrew, handing a victory to the Republic. In 3678 BBY, a Sith force 10,000 strong stormed the planet Begarin, a Republic mining world that had once belonged to the Sith. The planet was conquered, but its defenders put up a spirited fight, and the Sith suffered heavy casualties. That same year, another battle was fought over Korriban, in which the rogue Sith, Exile Kresh, allied with the Republic fleet sent to retake the planet from the Sith Empire and destroy the Sith Academy. The Republic fleet was vanquished, however, and Exile Kresh was killed in the battle. From 3674 to 3673 BBY, Republic and Sith forces fought a battle in the trailing sectors over the planet Bomedon. Sith forces took the planet and staved off the Republic's initial counterattack, but a unit of Republic soldiers that had been shot down on Bomedon were able to rally and wage a successful 10-month guerrilla war against the Sith occupiers. The Republic ultimately retook the planet, and the Battle of Bomedon was a rare Republic victory in this early stage of the war. By 3671 BBY, the Sith Empire had all but driven the Republic from the Outer Rim. In the third battle of the Siswena sector, the Sith drove the Republic from this key region, and from there, the Emperor dispatched his forces into the Mid-Rim and toward the core. His planet had been to sweep across the Outer Rim, surround the Republic, and then sweep through its more well-defended coreward regions by launching attacks from all sides, overwhelming and outmaneuvering the enemy. The Sith began with an assault on Bothan's space, which culminated in the First Battle of Bothawui. In this battle, a massive Sith fleet made a push to take the heart of the Bothan spynet, only to be met with the full force of the Republic Navy, led by Admiral Grake. Assisted by a state-of-the-art strategic analysis droid, Grake led Republic forces to victory, utterly annihilating the Sith fleet with minimal casualties. The Sith were forced to withdraw from Bothan space, and the Republic had won its first major battle of the war. From this point forward, the odds would be more even, although the Sith still held the advantage. However, the same year, the Sith tried again. In the Second Battle of Bothawui, a Sith fleet blockaded the planet and attempted to bombard it from orbit. They were thwarted, however, by the erection of a planetary shield by Republic forces, and the Sith ultimately had to commit a ground assault to destroy the shield generator. The Republic had only 4,000 soldiers and 85 Jedi on the planet's surface, while the Sith deployed a force of over 50,000 to take out the shield and raze the planet. However, Bothawui's defenders fought fiercely, inflicting staggering casualties on the Sith. Eventually, the defenders were overwhelmed and wiped out due to the sheer numbers of the Sith, but they inflicted such enormous casualties that the Sith didn't have the strength to take out the shield and hold the planet. The Sith were again forced to withdraw from Bothawui. 3667 BBY to 3660 BBY. The tide turns. Ish. In 3667 BBY, the Sith forces were able to breach the borders of the core world for the first time, attacking the planet Alderaan after drawing away its defenders in a diversionary strike. Sith forces under Darth Malgus terrorized the planet, razing cities and attempting to conquer the planet. But the Sith met with unexpected resistance as Jedi and units of Republic troopers on the planet began a guerrilla war against Sith forces. When Malgus's forces advanced on the planetary capital, they were routed in a surprise attack spearheaded by Havoc Squad and Satil Shan, which bought the defenders enough time for the Republic Navy to return to Alderaan and drive off the Sith. The Battle of Alderaan was another victory for the Republic, if a costly one. Around the same time, Sith forces targeted another core world, the arms manufacturing planet Balmorra, hoping to capture its weapons factories. After Sith saboteurs caused chaos on Balmora's surface, the Sith fleet carried out a limited orbital bombardment of the planet, then landed ground forces. The Sith swept across Balmora, but the Balmorans fought back, and the Republic came to their aid. Republic and Balmoran forces were outmatched all throughout the Battle of Balmora, but the Balmorans' weapons factories were able to keep the defenders constantly supplied, and the Sith were never fully able to root them out. Battle raged on Balmora for the rest of the war, and while the Sith started to gain the upper hand toward the end, the Republic and the Balmorans kept fighting. Elsewhere, however, the Sith were continuing to win victories against Republic forces. In the climactic Battle of Hoth in 3665 BBY, a massive naval battle above Hoth saw hundreds of ships on both sides destroyed or disabled. In the end, the Sith emerged victorious, but only at great cost. Nonetheless, the battle was a major blow to the Republic Navy as well as to Republic morale. In 3661 BBY, one of the most important campaigns of the war began, as a Mandalorian fleet established a blockade on the Hydian Way, cutting off one of the Republic's most important trade routes. The blockade throttled supply lines to the military and wreaked havoc on commerce, leaving many systems without much needed trade. The Jedi attempted to break the blockade, but they were soundly defeated, and this sparked panic and rioting all throughout the Republic. As the blockade wore on, the Senate even began to discuss the possibility of surrender to the Sith. Fortunately, in 3660 BBY, the Mandalorian blockade was broken after a smuggler fleet led by Hylo Viz carried out a joint strike alongside the Republic Navy, which scattered Mandalorian forces and allowed trade to resume. This victory was a relief for the Republic, but the Mandalorian blockade had nonetheless done irreversible damage. It had allowed Sith forces to advance deep into Republic space, once more putting the Republic on the back foot. It would remain on the back foot for the rest of the war. While the Republic was crippled by the Mandalorian blockade, the Sith had carried out the Rim campaign, an operation aimed at completely driving Republic forces from the northeastern rim. It began with the Battle of Ord Radama, fought over one of the Republic's last military strongholds in the region. After an 86-day battle, Sith forces under Darth Malgus and Darth Venamal took control of the planetary capital, Livian Magnus, and were poised to take the planet. However, after the collapse of the Hydian Way blockade, a Republic Navy counterattack routed the Sith fleet in orbit, and after one of the Sith's cruisers crashed into Livian Magnus and destroyed the city, most of the Sith's ground forces on Ord Radama were obliterated. The Sith were forced to withdraw, driven back to Sith space across the Radama Void. Republic forces followed this victory with daring attacks on Korriban, Zyos, and Asha Suri, all planets deep in Sith space. But these attacks were quickly routed, and Republic forces fell back to Sereno. Darth Malgus pursued them and conquered the planet, following which he returned to Ord Radama. In the reconquest of Ord Radama, Malgus and his forces finally conquered the planet after 51 days. This battle was bloodier than Malgus's first attack on Ord Radama, and Sith forces suffered heavy casualties, but in the end, the Republic was defeated. 3653 BBY, the Sacking of Coruscant. Following the Rim campaign, the Sith continued to advance deep into Republic space. Republic victories became few and far between. One of these was the Battle of Renvar, which temporarily stunted the Sith advance toward the core. Prior to this battle, the Sith Lord Darth Mechis had taken Renvar both to strip mine for resources and to use as a testing ground for experimental weapons. But a Jedi-led strike force, led by Satil Shen, staged a counterattack, and despite extraordinarily high casualties, the Republic emerged victorious. Such efforts didn't slow the Sith advance for very long, however. The Sith pressed on, pinning Republic forces on remote worlds like Dantooine, where they were cut off from reinforcements and fought a desperate battle for survival until the end of the war. But in 3653 BBY, 28 years into the war, something unexpected happened. The Sith proposed a peace conference on Alderaan to negotiate an end to the war. While the Senate was wary of the Sith's intentions, it accepted the offer to negotiate, eager for any reprieve from the long and costly war. But as the peace conference on Alderaan began, the Mandalorian mercenary, Shae Vizsla, deactivated Coruscant's defense grid, allowing a team of Sith warriors led by Darth Malgus to attack the Jedi Temple. While the Jedi were distracted by this attack, a massive fleet led by Darth Angral arrived in the Coruscant system and descended into the galactic capital's lower atmosphere, beginning the sacking of Coruscant. In the end, the Jedi Temple was utterly destroyed. Half of the Jedi Council and numerous other Jedi were killed, the Supreme Chancellor was murdered, and Galactic City was utterly devastated, enduring the most severe damage that had ever been inflicted upon it. Following the sacking of Coruscant, the Republic delegates on Alderaan were forced into signing the Treaty of Coruscant, which ended the Great Galactic War. With the signing of the treaty, the Sith abandoned Coruscant and let the Republic reclaim its capital, but this came at the cost of massive territorial concessions, which put the Sith in control of half of the known galaxy. The Great Galactic War was over, and the Republic had been utterly defeated. So, that was our look at all the battles of the Great Galactic War in chronological order. But what do you think? Would you like to see more videos about this war in the future? Do you have any other insights about the war that you want to share in the comments section below? Make sure you let us know, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.